for retweets.
Welcome back, Mighty Vandals, to Tubs at the Club, brought to you today by Snake River Stampede Whiskey, but we'll tell you a little bit more about that later in the show. We are the Idaho Vandals affiliate on the Big Sky Podcast Network. I am your most of the time host, Dallas Hammer, joined today by the one, the only, it's Treeb Talks. Treeb, how you doing, man?
Doing good, man. This is my first experience watching the Idaho Vandals as a fan, and boy, oh boy, what an experience as a first-time fan getting to watch this. I mean, they brought it out. I mean, their FCS versus FBS juice that they've brought out against their former FBS opponents, they brought it out against the number 3 team in the nation. It was a super fun game, man.
And last but not least, he's maybe the most diehard Vandal on the planet. It's Marten Heemstra down in Moscow. Marten, how you doing?
Doing good. I'm excited to talk about this game. I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting much worse, but to come out as only as 10-point loss, there's a lot to look forward to after this game.
Yeah, guys, we're just going to jump right into Around the Bar, brought to us by Hughes River Expeditions. But I want to give one quick shout out to a longtime friend of mine, Madison McCord. Went to school with him. That 48-point betting line was insane, almost as insane as I was for not going out and betting it. That is the story of the day, guys. The number 7 FCS Idaho Vandals unfortunately run out of the gas at the end of a 24-14 loss to the number 3 FBS Oregon Ducks. Vandal defense bent but didn't break as they held the nearly 45-point favorites to just 14 points in the first half. Midway through the third quarter, Idaho forces a turnover on downs and immediately hit a crazy trick play. Jack Lane ends up, the result of the play is Jack Lane throws a touchdown to Jake Cox, 36 yards for the touchdown, turns it into a 1-score game. Ducks answer back with a field goal on the next drive, and then Idaho goes 75 yards in 6 plays. finishing with a Jack Lane scramble into the end zone, making it 17-14 Oregon with 9:45 to go. Unfortunately, Oregon answered back with a touchdown. Idaho got no closer and lost 24-14. The final note here, Jack Lane left the field right around the 2-minute timeout. He played the second to last play for the Vandals offense. Jack Wagner came in and had the last 2 plays before, unfortunately, throwing a pick that ended the game. Might have had some pass interference, a little bit of a shove there, but that's it, guys. Immediate reactions. Marten will hit you first to Idaho losing by 10 to the number 3 FBS school in the country.
I'm excited. I'm looking pretty good. I'm feeling like there's a lot to look forward to with this team. I'm not going to speculate on anything until it's official. So I'm not going to be a doom poster, unlike others are probably going to be in this live chat / thread, any sort of threads or all Vandals threads or anything like that. I think I'm excited. They looked good. They played they played two of the three phases of the game as well as you could, but unfortunately the offense didn't do what we probably would have liked or seen in past years. But they were playing with house money today, and they nearly pulled it off still.
Yeah, 100%. I would say what Marten said is right. They were playing with house money today. And while you can say, like, the defense played great today, I think that's the storyline of this whole game, is the defense played great against a number 3 team in the FBS. And that's the biggest takeaway, is that this defense is for real, and all FCS teams and all the Big Sky should be aware of how good this defense is. But I would be wrong to not talk about how slow it took and how long it took this offense to get going. It took a long time for this offense to find its way. It took a long time for this offense to get on the right track, if you will. And it was just very, very slow going. It took a trick play for the offense to finally get on the scoreboard. And I hate to say it, but this might be a common trend for the Vandals going forward. They're going to have to rely a lot on this defense, and I hope they kind of take some things from this game and they say, hey, we got to rely a little bit more on these tight ends, and hey, we kind of got to like run the ball a little bit more. We got to kind of dominate this time of possession a little bit more, go back to where Jason Eck was at the beginning of his era here in Moscow, to kind of dominate what this offense can do and what this offense should be doing. But this defense looked really, really good. But this offense, for me, left a lot to be desired.
Yeah, immediate reactions. The defensively, just outstanding effort by Idaho. When you look at the stat box, yeah, Dylan Gabriel completed 84% of his passes for 380 yards, had 41 completions. Honestly, he proved why he's the best quarterback in college football right now. But again, Idaho held Oregon to 24 points. Yes, there were some turnover miscues. There was the 4th down where a guy, again, Josh Connerly's probably going to be a day 1, day 2 pick in the NFL draft, and he trips over the fullback and they don't convert a 4th down. Like, Oregon, very sloppy, but at the end of the day, sure, Idaho allowed a bunch of passing yards. They ran for over 100 rushing yards as well. But the defense held, again, the number 3 FBS school in the country to 24 points and truly were in it until realistically the final minutes of the game. Defense, Dane Moon, defense is a national championship quality. We've got a bunch of comments in the YouTube section tonight about the defense. Truly incredible defensive effort. But yeah, the offensively just didn't click super well. But again, I think that's what you expect to see when you see FBS versus FCS. I think the lack of athletes and depth shows much more on the offense than it will on the defense if your defense is well coached, which was absolutely the case tonight. I thought tackling was the best we have seen in years. Obviously, the farther we get away from the Petrino era, things have gotten better. Rob Orch certainly made tackling better over the last 2 years, but here in year 3 under Jason Eck and first year under Dan Jackson, thought the defense looked really good in the tackling games tonight. Unfortunately, guys, Jack Lane I thought looked exceptional. Stat line does not flatter him. 11 for 25, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. That's just 44% of his passes. But again, you're talking about an offensive line that was getting pushed around a fair amount because, again, you're playing the FBS Oregon Ducks. So that's going to happen. Got to hope that injury is nothing major and was just a precaution. Don't want to speculate too much, but it didn't look great as he ran off the field. The throwing shoulder the arm just kind of dangling at the side. Hopefully, again, he was just getting to the locker room to get checked out. We'll obviously let you know as soon as we hear anything back from that. But guys, we've kind of hit what went well, mostly in our reactions. But Marten, I want to give you a chance. What went well today for the Vandals?
I'm gonna steal what Patty said in the comments and go with Jackson Eck and the defense. Him and Tommy were just out there flying around making tackles. Like, didn't give up any truly big plays today, and they took the next step today.
I want to go with Andrew Marshall, dude. Andrew Marshall is a fucking stud. Dude, give him his flowers. Like, he's a guy that is going to be a reliable number one corner. He can keep up with the big boys. He can cover down the field. He is a guy that's going to be reliable as Idaho's number one corner. I loved what I saw from Andrew Marshall today against the number 3 team in the FBS, and I think he's going to carry that momentum throughout the season. And somebody else that we got to give credit to is Keyshawn James Newby. I mean, that guy is going to play on Sundays. I sent a tweet out saying that he's the best pass rusher the Vandals have, and he's going to continue to dominate. There's a lot of solid defensive pieces that these Vandals have. I think it's going to be a matter of just finding who on this offense can step up and really be that dominant presence on offense. Because right now, it's like, yeah, Eli Cummings had a couple of good rushes here. Jake Cox had that big play on the trick play, but they needed to rely on the trick play to make that happen. They need to find somebody offensively to be that standout player. Because right now we can pick 4 or 5 standout players on the defense. We can't do that on the offense right now. We just can't do it. So we need to figure that out as the season develops, who's going to be the offensive standout for the Vandals going forward.
Yeah, I obviously, if we're talking about what went well, you just have to keep hammering the defense. Like you said, KJN, 2 sacks, 2.5 tackles for loss and a forced fumble. The guy is absolutely going to get a shot in the NFL. Looked like he belonged again against an offensive line that is not short on NFL draft prospects. Like, KJN looked like he belonged at a higher level than Idaho. Jackson Eck, very, very, very happy that his last name is Eck because, man, he looked unreal. Any concerns about losing Exree Alexander in the offseason and Trey Thomas to graduation? I thought Jackson Eck looked incredible tonight. Isaiah King was also quite good. Matthias Bertram, I thought, was pretty solid. Again, the linebackers held up against a team that is expected to be in the college football playoff this year. Now, maybe not expected to do that anymore. We'll see if they get back on track against FUBSU next week. But I do want to give that shout out to Andrew Marshall. He looked really good. And then Tommy McCormick. Tommy McCormick was flying around, another guy that just honestly kind of shocked that he's still here at Idaho. Love that he stuck around to finish things out here because he absolutely looked like a guy that could have gone elsewhere. I mean, Marcus Harris went to Cal. Yes, they were playing an FCS school, UC Davis, but Marcus
and Armani Arnold went to Cincinnati too.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a guy that wants to be a doctor, and he's here playing fucking stout safety for the Vandals. We're so lucky.
Exactly. Like, just truly, honestly, outstanding stuff. See Alex Martinez in the comment section. Alex, part of the Giovanni McCoy family. Giovanni got a win for the FBS Oregon State over FCS Idaho State. So very much appreciate that. Good to see you, Alex. Guys, we know mostly what went wrong, but I'm still going to ask it. Marten, what didn't go super well for the Vandals today?
I'm going to nitpick and just pick running the ball. It just seemed like it couldn't really get going. It kind of took Eli breaking it outside to get the big plays, which I'm not going to complain about, but that was like my one critique I have if I'm going to pick anything.
I got to go with the offensive line. You're playing, obviously, Oregon, right? That's a big ask. But, this defense is able to rise to the occasion against an Oregon. So you're kind of hoping that everybody can kind of do that. But the offensive line wasn't able to do that. And I think this offensive line is going to be in for a long season. I think this isn't that great of an offensive line. I think it's one of the worst groups in the Big Sky, unfortunately. So I hope that it can kind of gather and get better. Third down was another thing. Did not perform very well. The receivers didn't create a whole lot of separation offensively. It didn't seem like, Jordan Dwyer was obviously the guy that was supposed to be the go-to wide receiver. He was a guy that didn't create a whole lot of separation. None of the receivers really created a whole lot of separation. They had to rely on a big trick play to get it to Jake Cox to get that first touchdown. So, not a lot of separation, not a lot of big plays were being able to be created from these wide receivers, from these weapons, other than when they had to go into reach into the bag of tricks. So I think just separation and O-line play was a little weak today.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that, Treeb. It just, again, like guys, there's a reason that we're all hammering this. Idaho scored 14 points and 7 of it came from a trick play. This is just, unfortunately, this is what you're going to talk about in a loss. What happened? They scored 14 points against Oregon. As I believe Coach X said in the post game, it was posted to our Discord, so I didn't hear it exactly because we were up here getting ready. But they don't hand out awards for losing to Oregon by 10 points. Like that, at the end of the day, the loss is the loss, and things need to be improved. I think you can take a lot. I think I'm a little bit more positive than Treeb is here about the offensive line and about the receivers and the separation, because I think that at the FCS level, or there's not it's not the gap that some people think that it is, but there is a gap that exists there just in the depth of the squad and obviously the quality of the top of the rosters. But I do think a guy like Mark Hamper and a guy like Jordan Dwyer are probably going to look a lot better in the regular season against the conference foes rather than game one against, again, the Oregon Ducks. I didn't love what went out there offensively, but I also wonder if part of that was because Eck was just keeping things pretty close to the vest because it is game one. Realistically, yeah, you go in there thinking, hey, we're going to do our best to go win this game, but you're also not going to empty the entire bag on an FBS game that if you lose, it doesn't really affect your season one way or the other. So that was a little unfortunate to see. I was really hoping to see more of the tight end room. Alex Moore and Jake Cox got a fair amount of snaps.
More Cox, if you will.
Yes, I wanted to see more Cox. Thank you, Marten. That is exactly what I wanted. 3 catches between the two of them, including obviously Cox's 36-yard touchdown, but didn't see a whole lot of that. It's obviously tough to do that against, again, a school that's just filled with athletes like Oregon is. A little bit tougher to get down to that 12 personnel and just kind of bully the ball around. Can't really do that when the defensive line is bigger than you are. But unfortunately, we're just going to have to wait again to see what Idaho's offense can do moving forward. Again, no news on Jack Lane and what is going to happen. But
Dallas, check the private thread.
I have an update if you guys want it.
Yes, fire away, Treeb.
Okay, cool. This update comes courtesy of Randy Isbell from the Lewiston Tribune. If you guys are not following him on Twitter, you can at Randy Isbell. He is
his commentary during the game was good. It was good to kind of follow him along.
Yeah, you follow Randy Isbell on Twitter. He took over my gig as the Idaho beat reporter for the Tribune. He told me coach said his arm was bothering him a bit, took him out as a precaution, didn't want to risk anything late. So it sounds like he is going to be fine, and it was more of a precautionary move for Jack Lane.
Phenomenal reporting there from the Lewiston Tribune, courtesy of Randy Isbell, and again,
don't forget to subscribe to them online so you can get the good coverage from Randy Isbell.
Yeah, subscribe to the Tribune online, get good coverage from Randy Isbell. He's doing good.
All right, guys, we talked a little bit about some players that we wanted to harp on, but I do want to circle back and give us each a player of the game offensively and defensively. But before we do that, we're going to talk about Snake River Stampede Whiskey. You guys know it. It's been a sponsor for a couple years now. We love it here. Bryan is our big whiskey guy. It's Bryan's favorite whiskey on the planet. For over 100 years, the men and women of the Wild West gathered in Canyon County to kick up dust, bust broncos at the Snake River Stampede, and they decided, hey, we might as well make a whiskey to honor those great folks. So again, there's the two options. You've got Snake River Stampede, 8-year-old. It's 10% rye, 80% corn, 10% malted barley, and aged 4 years in first fill bourbon barrels, and then 6 months in Oloroso sherry casks. It's won a bunch of awards. It's phenomenal stuff. And then if you're feeling bougie, you really want to get into the good stuff, they have the 1915 limited 100th anniversary edition whiskey, created to pay homage to the great American cowboy and all the heroes who have graced the Snake River Stampede arena, including Gene Autry, Dean Oliver, and Clint Cannon. Was born to keep the rodeo spirit alive. Guys, it's been a long day. This is the limited edition small batch stuff. It's double barreled, aged in X-rye barrels for an additional 2 years. It's got additions of caramel, honey, toffee, vanilla.
I think if Idaho won, Bryan would have had small batch.
100%. You know, honestly, even hearing that Jack Lane is okay and it was just a precaution, it might be a small batch kind of night, holding the number 3 team in the country to a 10-point victory. Again, that spread was nearly 50, guys. Absolutely insane. I do want to shout out. Thank you, Ron Lowney, jumping in. Congrats. You were 2 plays away from winning that game. That 5-yard offsides penalty really hurt. Yeah, man, I have heard "Damn it, Dallas" a whole lot in my life, but never quite as loud as Marten blasting it in the group chat. Damn it, Dallas. And of course, he tagged me because, you know, why not? Damn it, Dallas. Man, Dallas Afalava looked great. Made some really great plays, and then just, you know, when you're on the knife's edge, hey, Dylan Gabriel's an 18th year quarterback now. He's been around again for the last decade plus, it seems. He's gonna get guys with fakes. It just happens. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is, gentlemen. It's 0-1 for the Vandals to start. Jason Mayer taking an SRS poll. Thanks for sponsoring the show. Marten, your player of the game offensively. I have a feeling that we're all going to have pretty similar answers here, but let's get to it.
I don't know if I can pick somebody. Just like it didn't go that well, and I'm kind of sounding like them. I think I'm just gonna go with Jack Lane just because he had a couple mistakes, but still he did everything he physically could to keep Idaho in it.
Treeb, how about you? Your player of the game offensively.
Yeah, no, offensively it's tough, man. I was, you know, it's a good thing. It's a good thing Treeb isn't writing Tuesday morning quarterbacks anymore, because they would be coming after me because I'd be roasting this offense. I would say offensively, I would probably just give it to Jake Cox just because he got the touchdown reception, and they should have gotten him more involved earlier in the game. They should have gotten all the tight ends involved earlier in the game, and I'm really surprised they didn't. You know, like Luke Schleisner, Jason Eck, they're notorious for wanting to get the tight ends more involved, and I think they should have done a better job of that in this game. So I'm going to give it to Jake Cox for me.
That's fair. I'm going to go with a little bit of a curveball. Obviously, Marten hammering on the new quarterback again. Jack Lane looked quite good. Again, stats didn't quite back it up. Missed a couple throws, was late on a couple throws, but things that you think are going to iron out. Again, the guy's starting his 3rd career game. Jake Cox, obviously, huge call out there. I got to go with Eli Cummings, guys. A year off. I thought Eli Cummings looked really, really good, really explosive. He had, again, the numbers here are not going to be great because Idaho rushed for 49 yards and threw for 168. Like, numbers are not going to be pretty here. But Eli Cummings, 2 catches, 35 yards, 8 carries for 43, had that 23-yarder he broke off in the 3rd quarter, I believe. I thought for a guy who's taken a year off, he looked really good. I thought Nate Thomas looked pretty good too, but really thrilled that Eli Cummings is back. Obviously, he's not going to be Anthony Woods. Hopefully he gets there as the bell cow back that just takes over for 2 years. But I'm really encouraged that Eli Cummings is going to look really good as the year goes on, and Idaho plays front sevens that are not the size of the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah, and I want to push back on somebody who said we're talking about 4 and 5 star defenders. Yeah, but also like Idaho's defense played well against 4 or 5 star offensive recruits, and they had no problem with that. Literally no problem with that. So, I mean, the fact that, like, that defense is so well coached with a first-year, might I add, first-year defensive coordinator that is coaching these guys, and they're playing to that level. And that offense that should be a little bit more gelled together with an offensive coordinator that's been there the whole time with a lot of these guys, they should be a little bit more gelled, and they should be able to put a little bit more points up in this kind of situation. So I think they deserve a little bit of criticism when their defense is able to put up this kind of juice against Oregon. I think their offense should also kind of respond. I don't know. Oregon's not a defensive team. That's an offensive team. You should be able to do that. So
I will make one counter, Treeb. Their head coach is probably the best defensive coordinator in college football. I will say that.
Well, you know what? Fuck you, Dallas. I'm fucking going. I'm fucking going off because fucking if the defense can do that, then the offense should be able to respond. You know, be able to respond as well. You know, like if we're gonna hold the defense to that same caliber, where it's like, oh my God, they responded like that, then we should be like, why can't the offense kind of rise to it? Because Jason Eck, offensive guy, Luke Schleisner, offensive guy, and they got a first-year defensive coordinator. They all, like, a bunch of their new guys that they got on are defensive guys. Like they should have been able to respond a little bit more offensively. I don't know.
Yeah, you would hope that Idaho would score more than 7 points off of realistically that one single sustained drive.
Yeah,
a lot of third and outs. Again, the just not really able to move the ball outside of the one trick play and the 1-6 play 75-yard drive. But guys, defensively, obviously we're hitting it. Player of the game defensively. Again, we've kind of gone around, but I want you guys to each go around and name one guy specifically that is your player of the game defensively.
I'm going to take Mr. Obvious and go Jackson Eck. That guy was making open field tackles like it was nobody's business. He had 9 solo tackles in the game and one like had a half tackle for loss. I'm reading the stats like a roster, but like he still looked pretty damn good. And for Big Sky, I think it's going to be better. I think he's going to make a huge step up from last year.
Well, since you took that Mr. Obvious, I'm going to take the next Mr. Obvious and go Keyshawn James Newby. I think he had a great game coming off the edge, and it kind of makes you think, like, it's insane this guy started at the NAIA level. Like, he is unbelievable, and he's a guy that might get drafted. You know, and Idaho hasn't had a guy that's been drafted in the 7 rounds in a while.
I think the last one was Caden Ellison, I believe.
And he was like, yeah,
5 or 6 picks from the end by the Saints.
Yeah, so I think he's got a chance. He's up there. He's talented. He's a good guy.
Again, we're going to go with 3 different names just because the defense played so well. But again, I think you guys have 1A and 1B right there. Jackson Eck really filled in the Mike spot so well. Not concerned about the linebacking crew this year. And again, this is with Dylan Lane, unfortunately, missing this homecoming game for the Lanes as he had an injury. But I thought the linebackers looked great. Again, Keyshawn James Newby led an outstanding effort by the defensive line. But I also got to give it to Tommy McCormick. It was really cool to see Tommy McCormick dropping hits on Oregon receivers that were leaving guys gasping for air. Like, you'd love to see a turnover. There was one batted pass that Tommy ended up coming back with, and they let the play roll out in case it's a fumble. Touchdown. Tommy could have been making a comeback. Unfortunately, again, those little things just didn't quite go the Vandals' way this time, but Tommy McCormick was flying around. And again, yes, they threw for nearly 400 yards and completed 80% of their passes. But as you can ask any of the Oregon Ducks in the comment section tonight, or any of the Oregon Ducks online tonight, nobody is thrilled about how their offense performed against an FCS school. So honestly, major props to all 3 phases of the defense, the defensive line, the backers, and the DBs. Gentlemen, we're rounding into a half hour. I have one last thing we got to talk about before we get to your final thoughts. Because if you are looking for a great all-inclusive week-long vacation, do not look past your backyard. Hughes River Expeditions has been vandal-owned and operated since 1976, and they're ready to take you on the vacation of a lifetime. Enjoy a multi-day trip down the Middle Fork of the Salmon, the main Salmon River of no return, the Salmon River Canyons, or even the Selway. You could check out special trips like one to see the Perseid meteor shower. Camp on pristine beaches, not pristine beaches, not pristine bitches like Bryan might be doing. That's why he's not here. It's pristine beaches, guys. You have to get it right. Run amazing whitewater, hike scenic trails, spot the wildlife, soak in beautiful natural hot springs, and fish some of the most remote stretches of river in the entire USA. Just grab a paddle, catch dinner, and ride the bull all throughout the Gem State. You can go online and check them out, hughesriver.com. Martin's got it up on the screen for all you lovely folks that are watching these people kayaking and fishing. Or you can just give them a call, 406-540-4450. Again, check them out at hughesriver.com or 406-540-4450. Martin, your final thoughts on Idaho, Oregon?
I'm happy. I'm like, I'll pull back the curtain a little bit. I'll be honest. After we went offline after Wednesday's show, Bryan, Treeb, and I all said, "Oh, Idaho's going to get fucking smacked on Saturday." And you know what? It didn't happen. We only lost by 10, and I'll fucking own up and say it didn't. It was going to be a lot worse. Golly jeepers, I'm swearing way too much. Somebody might be a little mad at us now. Who fucking cares? It was a good day. It was a good day. I'm looking forward to next week against Wyoming, and I think Wyoming, Idaho fans should be going into Wyoming probably with expectations of winning after what we saw against Oregon. Maybe not as bad as Nevada, but still, it'll still be a good game.
All right. The sky is fucking falling down, everybody. All right. That's all I'm saying. Hold on. Sorry. Okay. I think the Idaho offense is not that good. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I don't think it's that great. And I think Eli Cummings looked good. But the offensive line didn't give him any time to throw the ball. And that's against the best defensive line that they're going to play all year. And maybe we'll see against Wyoming how they're going to do. But this offense should be cause for concern, in my opinion. I think this offense should be cause for concern, in my opinion. I don't know. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I think this offense is kind of a silly goose offense. But we'll see. And I think this defense is good. But we'll see in the long run.
Again, I think it's pretty undisputable here. There's a great defense on that side of the ball. They are going to be outstanding through the FCS. Jason Mayer, get your torches and pitchforks. Find Treeb. Well, you guys know he's got to be down there somewhere between Moscow, Pullman, Lewiston, and Clarkston. Get out there and find him.
Yeah, find me. Good luck.
A couple things in the comment sections I want to hit. Andrew Dennis agreeing with Captain 58 that Jack Lane looked like a hitter in baseball, just a tick off and just a game away from really being able to drive the ball and get things to click. That's kind of where I fall with the offense. I think that this is going to work out. Obviously, that's also happy projection because Treeb could be right. This could be what we see all year long is just an offensive line that isn't quite able to block, receivers and quarterback that just aren't quite on the same page. That is all absolutely in the realm of possibility. I like to be a little bit more positive about it because I think we're going to see Idaho play a whole lot better next week offensively against Wyoming. Simon Miller saying, I'm at a 1 out of 10 is concerned about the offense compared to Treeb. So Treeb, really unpopular on your first instant reaction, but that's why we do these instant reactions, guys. 3 days from now, I could come back on and be like, hey, that was a really fucking stupid thing I said. That's why we're saying it instantly.
I don't know. I really think all you guys are going to look stupid when Idaho averages like 14 points a game. Like, I don't know. We'll see.
Fingers crossed.
Defense wins championships.
That's the thing, though. Defense does win championships. But I really think this offense is going to be shitty. I don't know.
Guys, that's our time. We are well over the 30-minute mark. the last piece I have to hit here, it's on to Laramie. Jason Mayer in the comment section. The Mayors get to host the official alumni tailgate in Laramie. So hit him up if you need info. There's going to be plenty of food and drink. As somebody that has bummed that food and drink before, it is absolutely phenomenal. Jason and Christy and Rory and all of the rest of the Mayer family are all incredible folks. Make sure you get out and see them if you're in Laramie. Gentlemen, we'll be back in the middle of next week. Jason Mayer, Idaho about to put 42 on Wyoming just to spite Treeb. I hope that happens.
Eck called Dallas out for picking against him. I feel like Eck might fuck around and put up 60 against Wyoming just to spite Treeb like he did against Idaho State.
Eck loves to spite me, dude. That was like his whole thing when I was the beat reporter. He fucking loved that shit. So we'll see.
With that, gentlemen, as always, go Vandals.
Go Vandals.
Go Vandals.
Go Vandals. Go Vandals. Go Vandals. Go Vandals. Go Vandals.